You know, my experiences are vast, you know, because as I said, you know, I've got a degree in business, I've got a sociology degree, I've got my master's in social work now, and I had my own business at one time, insurance business, you know, so I've done income tax. I mean, I was an operations manager for a corporate company, you know, I used to drive a forklift, a 10-foot pole.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that. I've done display work in the corporate, you know. I went to school for carpeting, you know. I mean, my experiences are varied. Because I have this old war wound, my back injury, you know, I injured my back while I was in the military. And in between the job, I was working with my brother and I re-injured it, you know, and it got to the point where I couldn't work, you know, so I was fighting for Social Security for about 3 years, you know, and through that process, and he eventually turned me down because of all my experience, you know. They have this thing with Social Security where if they can find any type of work that you can do, you're not going to get your disability. I don't care what it is. So when they looked at my experiences, you know, they said, well, of all this experience, you should be able to do something. And I fought them and fought them and fought them. And eventually, you know, they turned me down. But by then, I had no kind of income. I used up all the resources I could have had. My wife and I were separated, you know. It was a bad situation. And I realized that I couldn't stay in the house anymore because I couldn't pay the rent, you know, and stuff. So I went into a homeless shelter. You know. And my plan was, I mean, I could have went live with family, you know, or some relative or some friend. I could have done that, but that wasn't the way I'm wired, you know. I'm not made up like that, you know. So I wanted to do this on my own. I created my problem. I wanted to be the solution to my problem. So I went into the homeless shelter with this plan that I'd be here for a year and redevelop my skills and branch out from there, put some money together and save that and probably start another business. Unfortunately, or fortunately, Katrina hit. You know, and fortunately enough, I had just completed the 90-day portion of the substance abuse plan. Part of it. And actually I completed that in 2.5 weeks instead of, 2.5 months. Instead of 90 days, I completed it faster. And right after, 2 weeks after I got my diploma from graduating from that program, that's when we were evacuated out of there. So when I came here, of course I was still in the program, you know, but a different type program, one that was teaching me to be self-sufficient again, you know, and that's the one at the VA, you know. And I was in that program for 3.5 years. And once I got here, I said, you know what? I should take full advantage of this opportunity here. And I decided to go back to school. I could sit here and feel sorry for myself and down myself and hate myself for being so careless, you know, or I can use it as a teachable moment. You know? And I chose to use it as a teachable moment and make some good come out of it. And that's what I want to do with what I'm doing now, you know. Make some good come out of it. I think I went through all of these things I went through for a purpose, for a reason. And I chose to think that reason is to help others. And that's what I'm going to do. I want to position myself to where I can be a supporter instead of a supportee. You know, I've been there and I know what that's like. So I want to be a supporter now to some supportees, you know. And this is my way that I've chosen to do it. I said, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to use my weaknesses and make up my strengths. Alcohol and drugs was one of my weaknesses. But I found where it could be a strength. Nothing is all bad and nothing is all good. There's a positive in everything. I want to help those others that was in the situation I was in and show them there is a way out. if you chose to take it. But it's a choice that you have to make. And that's why I'm here. Because I made that choice. And that's what I want to impress upon people. Nothing ever comes to your door and say, here I am. You know, you have to go out there and find it. And when people see you doing that, they will support you. And that's what I want to do. Housing, that's been my cornerstone, you know. Without the housing part of it, it would have been extremely difficult, you know, because all that little money I was using to pay those other things, like my expenses for going to school, for going to work, my internships like that, I wouldn't have been able to do those things because all that money would have went toward housing, you know. And without housing, it would have been extremely difficult. So housing played a very important role in this, you know. And that's why I feel so good about, you know, when I'm in a position to pass it on to someone else that needs it, you know, because it has been a godsend, you know. Well, I would like to make sure they understand that, you know, whatever their situation is, and all the situations are different, you know, but primarily their situation would be a temporary thing here. That's the best approach they can take here. You know, to look at this as a temporary thing and use that time wisely on putting something together where they can be self-sufficient in the future. Because as we discussed, this isn't guaranteed. And that's even for people who are permanently disabled. It's not guaranteed for them either, you know. I mean, there may be some form of assistance for them, but not like it is today. While you have this opportunity, use it wisely to plan for your future, you know, on how you're going to be able to take care of yourself.